Yes. So by today, we are going to start with the security feature. So in the last lecture, we actually have completed up to the reports and the dashboard. That means the entire analytics part that was completed. So let's start with the security features. Okay. So let me open one of the diagram for you and let me discuss few things with this. So this we have discussed long back. If you remember, I told you what does the multi-tenancy actually means. And this is one of the important question in the interview also. They ask this question, what is a multi-tenant architecture, or rather, a Salesforce is built on which architecture? So answer is Salesforce purely is built on the multi-tenant architecture. What the Salesforce follows? Salesforce follows a multi-tenancy architecture. Now, what does the multi-tenancy actually mean? See, हमने देखा था ये चीज कि I mean, when we were discussing this, I told you one thing ki, Salesforce, Salesforce have so many different servers. Let me show you. Go with that website. I mean, it's ये ज़्यादा सही तरीका रहेगा to remember all this. Yeah, long back, like we have seen, go with this website, status.salesforce.com. And while discussing this as an example, I told you कि देखिए Salesforce have so many different servers. They are probably in the 3 different regions. But recently, they added one more region. Wow. America, EMEA, and EU. Let me see. Okay, so they added and they now see. I have one important announcement. Now Salesforce has added one more reason. You need to upgrade the nodes. I also need to upgrade the nodes from now onward. So one important announcement, guys. Salesforce recently have added one more region. Salesforce has now EU as a region. Let me see what are the details with the EU, and this have some servers from the French and the Dutch. And let me see what does EU actually means. So Salesforce now have 4 different regions. Okay, now the definition has changed. Salesforce has 4 different regions. A very, very important announcement. Everybody see here. Recently, Salesforce has added one more regions. Apart from the NA, America, Asia Pacific, Salesforce have one more region, that is EU region. Okay. So let me see. I'll tell you what exactly is the meaning of this EU. EU, I don't think it's Europe. Let me see what does EU actually means. Okay. So by tomorrow, probably I'm going to tell you what exactly is this instance. And we see that there are only 4 to 5 servers over there. In the EU region, there are 6 servers they have added. So it's like, branch, it's France and Dutch, I think, because I heard a news that Salesforce is actually, building something new for the France and the Dutch regions. So probably this is one of the same. Let me see. But now we have an important amendments to be made, that now we would say rather that Salesforce is having 4 different regions: NA, EMEA, Asia Pacific, and EU. Let me have the details of the EU. EU की details मैं कल निकाल के बताता हूँ. So this is an important thing that came us to know that now Salesforce have 4 different regions. Okay, and I also need to upgrade my notes by today. Okay. So when we were discussing this, if you remember, I told you that on a single server, when we were discussing thing, I was telling you about the multi-tenancy. What exactly is the multi-tenant architecture means? So that time I told you that on a single server, I just, for example, let's take the example of AP16 as a server. So on the AP16 server, not just not just one, not just two, actually 8,000 different organizations are accommodated. So this is what something called as multi-tenancy. Tenant means organizations. What does the tenant mean? Tenant means organization. And multi-tenants means on a single server space. On a single server space, there are multiple organization data that are stored. Now, how much organizations precisely are present on a single server? Up to what? Maximum it could be. Minimum it could be 1. Maximum is what? It's 8,000. So this is something called as multi-tenancy. This is something called as multi-tenancy. And as an assignment, probably I have told. अगर नहीं बताया है तो अभी बता रहा हूँ, है ना? हो सकता है शायद भूल गया हो, नहीं बताया हो. You need to learn the advantages of multi-tenancy. Everyone, please write it down. What is a multi-tenant architecture means? एक तो ये चीज आपने पढ़ना है. And secondly, what you should know is that what is the advantage of the multi-tenant architecture. ठीक है? तो ये दो चीजें प्लीज लिख लीजिए ताकि आपको याद रहे कि we need to have a workout on all this. तो आपको इस पर काम करना है. Everyone need to have a workout on this. सभी को काम करना है. एक तो मल्टी टेनेंट के ऊपर में थोड़ा सा ज्यादा प्रिसाइसली अच्छी डेफिनेशंस निकाल के. आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग यू दिस इन अ सिंगल लाइन कि ऑन अ सिंगल सर्वर स्पेस ऑफ अ Salesforce we precisely have more than one organizations. And how many organizations are there? Yes, file advantages है notes में. अच्छा ठीक है notes में. Okay, it's a good thing. So if it is there in the notes, guys, you need to learn it from there, and you can add it. You can of course search the internet and add some few more points over there. So what is a multi-tenant? On a single server space? On a single server space, there are more than one organizations are stored, and this server space, like it is, if we take as an AP16 as an example, so whatever this server space is actually being shared among all these organizations. So these organizations store their files, their data, like organization one file and the data is stored in AP16. Even on the organization two's files and their data, the entire organization data of this organization number two is being placed out where? On AP16 itself. The organization three also stored that. That means all these organizations share the same server space. They all store their data, they all store their files, they all store their organization related things on a same server space. Now immediately I ask you one question over here. I ask you one question, just keeping this fact in mind. Just let me ask you one question, and you first of all you think over it and you give me this answer. See, this organization one, this organization number two, this organization number three, and even every organization of the Salesforce have common the same standard objects. That means if I go to my account, if I log in into my account, if I log in into my account, this is the account I created for you, this account I created for you. So here my account have this account, leads, cases, contacts, and the opportunity. These are the set of all of the standard objects. These many other standard objects are there inside the org. The same is the set with you guys also. When you log in into your account by putting your credentials, your user ID and the password, when you log in into your account, you also have this account, lead, case, contact, opportunity, reports, whatever. That means the set of the set of all these standard objects are common between us. My organization even have this, your organization also have it. Now let me ask you this, and you think this, you please think over it and then give me the answer. Then I'll tell you one of the concepts. So if I store something inside my account, if I store something inside my account, probably I created this Merck Incorporation, I created this account record, when I store this inside my account and you store something inside your account, so does this means that my account table, because see, we both let's take this as an assumption that my account, my organization account is being on AP16, or rather, let me see on which I'm working. Why should I make this assumption? Let me just see on which server my organization is present. Let me just check it out. Let me just check it out. So I'm on AP24. Okay. Probably some of you guys are also on the AP24. So now see, we all together, we are on AP24. That means we all are actually, hum log padosi hain. We are the neighbors on this. We are sharing this common server space, AP24. My organization is in AP24. Your also is in AP24. So when I store something, see, your organization also have this account lead contact. I am also have all this account lead contact. Now I ask you this as a question. If I store something into the accounts, if I create a new record inside the account object, or inside my organization, I create one of the account record. Inside my organization, I create one of the contact record. Inside the my organization, I create one of the opportunity record. And you also go to the same. You go to your account, you go to your case lead, whatever, and you create some record over there. So see, although we are sharing, we are sharing the same server space. So does it means that my account record and your account record are going to be stored inside the same table, or do it is like that? I have a separate all these tables. My organization have separate account table, separate lead table, separate case, and your account. Sorry, your organization have these all separate tables. what probably is your assumption regarding, आप क्या सोचते हो इस बारे में? बिकॉज सी ये ऑब्जेक्ट्स के नाम सेम है ना, सेम ऑब्जेक्ट मतलब टेबल, डेटाबेस लेवल पे इसको टेबल बोलेंगे हम लोग, तो ये टेबल्स के नाम सेम है, ये मेरे पास भी आपके पास भी, इवन आई कैन क्रिएट a account record, you can also go to the account and create a record inside it. I mean we both of them are creating account record. अब मुझे सिर्फ ये बताओ, सोच के बताओ, whether they are going to be they are going to be placed in a separate tables, or rather they are going to be placed in a single table. What is your assumption? क्या सोचते हो इस बारे में आप? क्या ओपिनियन है आप लोग के इस बारे में? क्या सोचते हैं इस बारे में? उमेश, क्या सोचते हो तुम इस बारे में? उमेश, काफी दिनों बाद लॉगिन किया है। क्वेश्चन ये है कि मैं कुछ अकाउंट में स्टोर करता हूँ, आप भी कुछ अकाउंट में स्टोर करते हैं, तो हम दोनों का ये डेटा एक ही टेबल में मेंटेन हो रहा है, या फिर मेरे मेरे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का अकाउंट टेबल अलग है और आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का अकाउंट टेबल अलग है? मेरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का लीड, केसेस, कॉन्टैक्ट, अपॉर्चुनिटी टेबल है और आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का टेबल अलग है। व्हाट इज योर assumption? जस्ट बिकॉज सी आई नो यू गाइस डोंट नो इट, अभी तो मैं assumption ही मांग रहा हूँ आप लोगों से, assumption देने में क्या प्रॉब्लम होता है? पाल इज टेलिंग दैट सेम टेबल पे होगा, श्वेता इज टेलिंग दैट ऑब्जेक्ट मैप है स्टैंडर्ड लेवल। नहीं नहीं, मैं वो नहीं, श्वेता मैं ज्यादा डिटेलिंग नहीं, व्हाट आई एम आस्किंग, सेम टेबल और डिफरेंट टेबल, दैट इज ओनली टू टर्मिनोलॉजीज आई हैव जस्ट वांटेड फ्रॉम यू, whether we have maintaining everything
Maybe,
in the
sir, maybe same table.
maybe same table. Harsh is also saying that it's same table. Yes, Umesh, I've asked you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Same table.
Same table. Okay,
Sir,
same.
yes, sir.
Yes,
Same right distribution.
got it, got it, got it. So every one of you is saying the same table. That's really a good thing. Why? Because this is the answer. Let me tell you. See, चलो अब हाँ अंजुमन, yes, got it. So देखिए कैसा है, inside inside the database.com. I mean this is the answer. This is the answer. Answer यहीं पर ही है इसका. This is the answer, inside the database.com, and this is the place where what is database.com? We have discussed this. Database.com is a place where entire Salesforce data is being stored. Salesforce का सारा डेटा कहाँ पर रहता है? database.com. Salesforce का सारा डेटा कहाँ रहता है? database.com पे, ठीक है? तो inside the database.com ये क्या है? Precisely this is a database. There is only one table for every standard object. Every standard, हाँ, custom object के लिए सबके अलग अलग टेबल हैं. If I create hiring manager, you also create hiring manager, but my hiring manager is having separate table. Your hiring manager is having separate table. My position object is having a separate table. Your position object, although the names are same. हमने भी बनाया तो hiring manager नाम दिया, आपने भी बनाया तो hiring manager नाम दिया. Second time I created a position object, भाई हमने उसे position नाम दिया है. I give the name as a candidate. You also have given the same name. आपने भी जब उसे बनाया तो आपने भी position ही नाम दिया, candidate ही नाम दिया. So although the names are same, still the table would be different, But for every standard object, there is only one table. For every standard object, for every organization, for every server, for every reason, there is only one table. It could be any organization, from any server, from any region. It could be any organization, from any server, from any region. There's only one standard, there is only one table for every standard object. Now that means inside the database.com, there's only one table called as account. Whatever you store inside the account is going to be stored inside this table. Whatever I stored, whatever the record account I created and store it inside the account object, my record is also going to be stored inside the same account table. Umesh created something is going to be stored inside the same. Abhishek create something. Aditya create. Arjuman, Harsh, every one of you. Everyone in this world, if he stores something inside the account object, is going to be reside inside the same table. So now you can assume how big this table is. And see, this is even about the every version, free version developer, free version and your paid version. Even in the versions also, yeah, in the editions also. ऐसा नहीं है कि पेड के एडिशंस के अलग होंगे, नो. Even see how now simply you can assume how big is this table of this standard table. So yeah, ये इतना बड़ा होता है कि there's only one account table, there's only one contact table, there is only one opportunity table, and there is only one case table, and there's only one price book. Every standard object, for every standard object inside the database.com, there's only one. And for every organization, they store something inside the account, the same table is used. If you store something inside the contact, same table is used. If you store something inside the opportunity, the same table is used. This is what the fact is. Now you simply assume, कि कितना big, कितना बड़ा, कितना enormous हो गई. There's something called as small, then big, and then giant. English में पढ़ते हैं ना, something which is smaller in the size called to be the small. थोड़ा बड़ा है तो उसको big बोलेंगे, and then the word comes the larger. And something which is beyond our imagination is called as enormous. This is what the word is, what we something to describe, which is actually, we cannot simply imagine कि इसका size क्या होगा. But to describe that, the word is enormous. I'm sure English नहीं पढ़ा रहा मैं आपको. So how enormous, how big is this? You can simply assume that कि सारी दुनिया की organizations का account का data एक ही table में रहता है, contact का data एक ही table में रहता है. तो अब ये तो fact चलो अपने को पता चल गया. अब इसमें ज्यादा चर्चा करने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. लेकिन अब यहाँ पे एक बात हमारे दिमाग में आनी चाहिए, और वो ये कि यार जब सारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का डेटा एक ही जगह मेंटेन कर रहे हो, तो व्हाट आर द चांसेस टू मिक्सअप. मिक्सअप होने के क्या चांसेस है? क्या मेरा डेटा, my organization data could get visible to your, or rather by accidentally, your organization data could get visible to me. कैसा हो सकता है? तो अब सवाल यही आ रहा ना दिमाग में, जब इतनी सारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं और एक ही टेबल मेंटेन हो रहा है, तो फिर कैसा? एक्चुअली नहीं होता है. व्हाई? बिकॉज सी, व्हेनेवर वी, अब चलो अब अपन एक पॉइंट के ऊपर आते हैं. हाँ, लिखता हूँ. Whenever we transfer, जैसे कि मैं कोई डेटा स्टोर करता हूँ, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ आई गो टू द अकाउंट ऑब्जेक्ट एंड इफ आई ट्राई टू क्रिएट अ न्यू रिकॉर्ड इनसाइड दिस, no, whatever the fields are over here, by just entering whatever the fields, I enter something over here, something over here, something over here. So by entering the records in every field, when I try to save this, so one of the data that is called as form data, one form data is going to be generated. That means if I open this Merck incorporation and I make some changes over here, I make some changes over here, and when I save this, now this request has been sent to the server. This request has been sent to be the server along with this form data, whatever I have, whatever the changes I have made over here, rather whatever the entries I have made in every field. So along with every field value, one request has been generated and that is sent to be the server. This is something called as form data, form, F-O-R-M. Why? Because this is the user form. This is a form, what you see, this is the user interface. Whenever you save something, a form data is going to be generated, and that form data is transferred. When you press the save button, when you press the save button, the form data is going to be transferred to the server. Now, along with your form data, there are few more things that are transferred, or that is what we are going to do. So whenever we store data, any record inside the object, like account, like cases, whatever, the following informations will be transferred to the database.com server along with your form data. What are those information? The very first thing is the form data. Whatever the field values you have given, that is the first thing. The second is your system IP address. And I'll show you one thing, how safe is the Salesforce. Right now I'm have logged into this, So Salesforce is actually tracking me, Salesforce is tracking me, and you can as an administrator download this log, which user has logged in, on which time he has logged in, from which country he has logged in, from which city he has logged in, from what longitude and the latitude values what there, what was the postal code, everything is tracking in behind. You don't know this. I mean, with the security, we are going to learn that concept also. So ये बड़ा interesting है, security बहुत ही interesting है. As an administrator, what is in there your hand? आप क्या क्या कर सकते हो? You are going to learn it. You are going to learn it. तो उसमें से एक फीचर ये भी है, Salesforce का सारी चीजें ट्रैक करता है. So what are the things that are transferred along with your form data? System IP addresses, your IP address, your session IDs. हाँ, one important thing अभी याद आइए. Please at the end of this lecture, somebody of you please tell me, कि एक announcement करना है मेरे को, है ना, प्लीज याद दिलाना यार, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज याद आइए. अभी मैं ब्रेक नहीं करता फ्लो को, बट मुझे कोई तो भी याद दिला देना प्लीज. And header infos and your browser info, Chrome browser है, Mozilla है, internet है, कौन सा है, what is your operating system कौन सा, सब कुछ, and your organization ID. I told you that every organization have its own organization ID that starts with 00D. काफी पहले हुआ, इसलिए थोड़ा सा रिवाइज कर लेते. Every organization have its own ID that starts with the 00. So whenever you store some data inside any account object or any contact object, so along with your form data, these are the parameters. So see, based on the two parameters, one is the organization ID and the second is user ID. You know, but the most important user ID पे बाद में जाते हैं, user ID पे बाद में जाते हैं. First is organization ID. So probably, you know, let's take this as an assumption that organization one ID is 0031234. And this is just an example, है ना? आप example है, example को example की तरह ही समझो. Someone now from whenever someone from this organization one actually store something inside the account object, है ना? तो जो भी डेटा उन्होंने स्टोर किया, तो actually he has stored this data, राम कुमार, सुरेश त्रिपाठी, राजकुमार, you know, these three are the data that is being, you know, organization one ने इतना डेटा स्टोर किया है. तो along with all these entries ऑब्जेक्ट में ये सारी चीजों के साथ साथ, you know, along with all these entries कि आईडी क्या जनरेट हुआ रिकॉर्ड का, उसकी रेटिंग क्या है, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह, नो अलॉन्ग विद ऑल दीज, ये आईडी क्या है, नेम क्या है, ये फील्ड वैल्यूज है. ठीक है, अब ये वो चीजें जो आपको नजर आ रही है, समथिंग देयर आर फ्यू मोर थिंग्स दैट आर बीइंग ट्रांसफर्ड फ्रॉम दिस. अब वो हम पढ़ रहे थे कि जब हम रिकॉर्ड ट्रांसफर करते हैं तो क्या क्या ट्रांसफर होता है. सो अलॉन्ग विद द फॉर्म डेटा देयर आर फ्यू मोर थिंग्स दैट आर ट्रांसफर्ड. व्हाट दीज आर द थिंग्स दैट आर ट्रांसफर्ड? सिस्टम आईपी एड्रेस, फॉर्म डेटा, है ना, सब चीजें. और एक इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग आपका ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आईडी. तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आईडी ट्रांसफर किया जाता है. तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आईडी क्या होता है कि जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल दीज मेनी, यानी यहाँ से राम, सुरेश, राजकुमार, ये कुछ ऐसी कलर चेंज करता हूँ यार. दीज आर फ्यू वैल्यूज, ये कुछ ऐसी वैल्यूज हैं जो जो कहाँ से आई हैं. दीज थ्री वैल्यूज आर बीन फ्रॉम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वन. दीज थ्री रिकॉर्ड्स बिलोंग टू द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वन. तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वन का ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आईडी क्या है? 00D1234. तो ये पहली तीन वैल्यूज कहाँ से आ रही है? 123. तो अब जब कभी भी ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन फेच होगी तो यही डेटा फेच होगा, दूसरा नहीं हो सकता. ऑर्गेनाइजेशन टू से एक डेटा है वह राकेश कुमार. तो राकेश कुमार जब स्टोर हुआ इस टेबल के अंदर, कॉमन टेबल है भाई, कस्टमर वन, कस्टमर टू, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वन, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन टू, सबका डेटा यही स्टोर हो रहा है, लेकिन विद सेपरेट सेपरेट सेट ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आईडी. भाई कस्टमर थ्री का डेटा या ऑर्गेनाइजेशन थ्री का डेटा है तो 3456 है. तो ये जो डेटा आखिरी के दो डेटा प्रदीप और सुमन, जब यहाँ से ट्रांसफर हुआ तो ये इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आईडी. तो बेस्ड ऑन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आईडी, यू नो, बेस्ड ऑन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आईडी, भले ही वो सारा डेटा एक ही टेबल में स्टोर हो रहा है, लेकिन बेस्ड ऑन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आईडी सेल्सफोर्स ये डिफरेंशिएट कर लेता है कि कौन सा डेटा, वट एवर द डेटा, विच एवर डेटा, सॉरी, इज बिलोंग्स टू विच ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. एंड रिमेंबर, देयर इज नो चांस, यू नो, देयर इज नो चांस टू गेट मिक्स अप डेटा. ये डेटा कभी भी मिक्स नहीं होता, बाय एनी चांस हो ही नहीं सकता. ठीक है, तो ये सेल्सफोर्स इतना सिक्योर्ड है, सेल्सफोर्स इज दैट मच सिक्योर्ड कि आपका डेटा किसी दूसरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को और किसी दूसरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का डेटा आपको मिल ही नहीं सकता, है ना, इतना सिक्योर्ड है सेल्सफोर्स. हाँ, ठीक है. तो ये एक कंसेप्ट था छोटा सा जो समझना था हमको, और जिसमें हमको ये पता चला कि सारी स्टैंडर्ड ऑब्जेक्ट का ना एक ही टेबल होता है. ऐसा नहीं है कि मेरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का टेबल अलग है या फिर आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का टेबल जो है वो अलग है, ऐसा कुछ भी. ठीक है, चलिए अब हम चलते हैं लाइसेंसेस की तरफ. अभी बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट डिस्कशन पे मैं जा रहा हूँ, और मैं जितने भी डायग्राम्स ये दिखा रहा हूँ आपको, ये सारे मैं ड्राइव पे अपलोड कर दूंगा. ठीक है, तो डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट. अभी एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट चीज मैं बताने वाला हूँ, यूजर क्रिएशन की स्टेप्स. ठीक है, देखिए ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ये डायग्राम ही अपने आप में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट, और आपकी पूरी प्रोसेस जो है ना ये डायग्राम से ही कवर हो जाएगी. इसको समझने के लिए लोग बहुत दिमाग लगाते हैं, लेकिन मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि कोई चीज डायग्राम से समझ आ गई ना तो बहुत इजीली समझ में आ. So they ask you this as an interview question. What are the steps? What are the steps of creating a user? What are the steps of creating a user? So actually, whenever we create a user inside the Salesforce, okay, what is the things that we require? Basically, we require three things. We should assign a license, we should assign a profile, we should assign a role. Whenever a user is created, three things are required. We must assign a license, we must assign a profile, and then we must assign a role. Now, out of these three, you know, out of these three, assigning a license, see, it is mandatory. You cannot create a user without assigning a license. Without giving him a license, you cannot create a user. Assigning a profile is also mandatory. If you want to create a user, you should assign a license, you should assign a profile to it. And then assigning a role, which is something optional. Even, without assigning a role, we can create a user. But usually, what are the steps of creating user? These are the 3 steps. Whenever we create a user, we should follow these 3 steps. What is the first step? We should assign him a license. Second, we should assign him a profile. And third, we should assign him a role. Out of these 3 steps, license, mandatory, profile, mandatory, a role is something which is optional. And you are going to see every step. Don't worry. I mean, मैं क्या करूँगा? First of all, I will tell you how to create a user by giving him a license, by giving him a profile, and without giving a role. And role, we are going to learn it separately. I mean, without assigning the role, even we can create the user, and that will be what we are going to do. हाँ, उसके बाद जब once we have done with the creation of user, जब अपने users बन के तैयार हो जाएंगे ना, फिर हम उसको रोल देंगे. मतलब आप रोल जैसे बाद में भी दे सकते. रोल ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको स्टार्टिंग में ही देना पड़ेगा ना. Even after creating the user, you can give them roles. So role is something which is optional at the beginning stage. Later on, if you want, you can give them role. Even without giving the role, user आप काम कर सकता है. ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है. ठीक है. But without giving the license, without giving the profile, है ना, user creation नहीं हो सकता. So these are the 2 steps that are mandatory. Third step is something which is optional. If you want at the user creation, you can assign them role. Even after creating, you can assign the role. Even without assigning the role, user काम कर सकता. So ये 3 steps. And this diagram I'm going to share with you. Everything I'm going to share. कैसा है? मैं सब कुछ share करूँ. So we understood that whenever we create a user, let's discuss the first thing, that is what the license. So out of these 3 requirements, let's now start the very first requirement. What is that? Whenever we create a user, we should give him a license. Every user have a license. Let me show you that. See, right now I have not created any user inside my org. Many times I have, काफी सारा discussion किया है. We have, so many times we have come to this navigation. What is this navigation? Go to the setup menu, go to the administrator, expand the manage user and click on the users. Why? So many times we have come to this page. ऐसा नया नहीं है, पहली बार नहीं आ रहा है अपन. During our discussion, काफी जगहों पे ऐसी बातचीत हुई है. Okay, लाइट गई है, मैं मोबाइल से कनेक्ट करता हूँ. Give me 1 sec.